It is your girl Leah, and I am back with another astrology video. For those of you that are new here, today we are going to be talking about Pisces being on the North Node and Virgo being on the South Node. I want to say this transit has been going on for about a month now. So we are about 30 days into this, and this transit will be about a year and a half long. So we will have this energy collectively guiding us until about the middle of 2026, the calendar year. Okay, so if you are a Pisces or a Virgo, this energy will be felt the most for you. Also, if you are a mutable sign such as a Sagittarius or a Gemini, in addition to having Pisces or Virgo energy, you will feel this transit as well because the nodes will be creating squares to your Gemini and Sagittarius placements. And a square in astrology is pretty much two energies of a similar modality that wants to accomplish the same goal, but they have different ways about going about doing it. So you have to kind of slow down and be a bit more intentional of cutting through that tension and finding what works for you. Okay. So the way I'm going to do this today is we have some celebrities that I want to talk about. We have Rihanna and ASAP Rocky. They are actually both going through their nodal return in Pisces. We know that ASAP Rocky was just acquitted of all charges and found not guilty. So he was not convicted of, the crime that he was on trial for the past few weeks out there in LA. So that is some good news. We're going to talk about Jhene Aiko. She has been very quiet. She's probably still recovering from her home burning down. As you know, at the top of this year, time moves quick, and different things cycle in and out the news, but our hearts are still with Altadena. Our hearts are still with people that were impacted negatively by the Eaton fire, as well as the Palisades. So I'm going to talk about that too, because I've seen a lot of interesting things in Jhene Aiko's chart, and she has a Pisces stellium. So we're just going to talk about that and some things we may expect. Breaking news from Storm Monroe. Allegedly, apparently, Towanda Braxton was hit by a car in some type of car accident, and she's been hospitalized. Towanda Braxton is a late degree Virgo, so that means the South Node is conjunct her sun right now. So we're going to talk about that. There have also been a lot of things swarming around the Braxton family. Their niece, Ashley Braxton, is here with us on YouTube, and she has been, allowing the lid to come off of some, ways of being and ways of showing up in a family that have created generational curses and have allowed for her to be silenced about abuse that she has endured by some family members. And I think even a specific spouse of one of the aunts, the family members. So we'll talk about that. And then Alexis Sky recently came out and admitted that when she had started, talking about Christianity and whatnot, it was with the intention of getting a certain type of man. So we're going to talk about how, Pisces being on the North Node, it's currently conjunct Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. How, yes, it is calling us to have a purification process because Virgo on the South Node on that same spectrum deals with purity, but it also can produce a lot of people that have skewed intentions on why they are even willing to be receptive to that process. Okay, so that is the rundown that we will be talking about. So going back to Pisces and Virgo on the North Node, just a quick recap. Okay, the North Node energy is the collective energy that we will see humanity strive towards in its highest, but unfortunately also succumb to in its lowest. The Virgo South Node energy is the energy that we are being encouraged to healthily detach from and be a bit more discerning and strategic on how to use it to integrate that North Node energy, that being Pisces, into our life. So Virgo deals with the sixth house, right? That's productivity, it's our work environment, it's our physical health and fitness. Um, it can deal with, how we organize things. It also can deal with pets, and it could deal with open enemies, right? It also deals with service. The 12th house is what's hidden, it's what's isolated. It's vulnerable groups, vulnerable populations. It can deal with lonesomeness. It can deal with loneliness. It can deal with escapism, right? It could deal with attachment in ways that could be healthy on the holistic and spiritual and mystical side, but can also be unhealthy um in a gluttonous sense, because Pisces is co-ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter in its lowest octave deals with gluttony. It deals with overindulgence, right? And overdoing it. Okay. Pisces deals with hospitals, mental asylums. It could deal with rehabilitation. This may be a time where a lot of people feel called to really get their health in order. They may feel called to stop drinking. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about how they can't drink liquor anymore. It lays them down, and they just want to have more energy to be up and be out and about. Um, Pisces can also deal with the arts. It can deal with beauty. As Neptune gears up to leave Pisces and enter Aries, we are seeing the beauty standards change. Okay. A lot of people are starting to go back to a more natural look, a more individualized look, which makes sense with Neptune entering Aries, and Aries deals with being the head, being the leader, being the pioneer. It also could bring about androgynous looks as well. Okay, so just a brief overview. I actually did a video, I want to say. I don't know if it's here on YouTube, it may be on my Patreon. But if you want access to that video, because I did that video a long time ago, just shoot me an email. My email will be pinned in the comments, and then I'll just send you the link, or maybe I'll just post it here and make it public. Okay, so let's get into our first couple. So Rihanna and ASAP Rocky. So I'm going to share my screen, and let's start with ASAP Rocky's chart. Okay. So as you can see, ASAP Rocky will be having his exact nodal return this year. It's probably going to be in the second half of the year, when the North Node enters the 12th degree of Pisces. Okay. Interestingly enough, he has his Saturn and Uranus, which are generational planets, in Sagittarius at very late degrees. So that means right now the nodes are creating a square to that Saturn and that Uranus. Something else that stood out to me is he has a natal Jupiter in Gemini. And Jupiter has been transiting Gemini, and he has it natally on a retrograde. So this is interesting because Gemini deals with communications, it deals with writing, and I find that people that are rappers specifically tend to have some prominent Gemini energy, especially like a Gemini moon or something. So to see that he has it on retrograde, this could speak about how, even though ASAP Rocky has seen success and acclaim when it comes to being in the music industry, in my opinion, I feel like he peaked a bit earlier than other pairs that he came up with. Like, I always think about that song, I love Bad Bees, and that's my effing problem, when it was him, Kendrick, Drake, and Two Chains. And who's the last two people that are still consistently like making music and staying on top? Kendrick and Drake. Two Chains did just put out a dope song with The Alchemist and someone else, and I really like it. I also love how on Apple Music, when you download it, they have like this I don't know what you call it, but it's like water and it's moving around. I forget what you call those type of animated pics. But yeah. Um so I thought that was interesting that he has this Jupiter and Gemini on retrograde, because that could just speak to when it comes to you getting your spiritual just due, when it comes to you getting your material abundance, it can be some delays. It can be like some stop and go to a certain extent. But with him coming out of his exact Jupiter return, but still being able to benefit from that energy because Jupiter is still in Gemini, I really feel like this kind of assisted him with getting that not guilty. And to be honest, because Gemini can also deal with gossip to a certain extent, because it is communication. So like in its highest octave it deals with the facts, but in its lowest octave it can like kind of make the facts a bit more murky because it's still Mercury energy, so it's trickster energy in its lowest vibration. And I didn't really follow the case, but from what I've seen, it just seemed like it was a bunch of nonsense to begin with. It seemed like it was a bunch of nonsense to begin with. And yeah, I just yeah, I don't know. I just thought the shit was weird as hell. Um Another thing that stood out to me is that he has his moon in Cancer at the 15th degree. So, with Mars being in Cancer and then making a tight conjunction to that moon, and his natal Mars is governed by Aries, which deals with weaponry, which deals with guns, and he was on trial for that. Aries is on that spectrum of Libra, which deals with like legal cases and whatnot, which his sun does oppose his Mars. It's not an exact opposition, but it's a seventh degree, it's within that orb. So this can speak to how at home or just in his private life, this could have been a point of contention for him and Rihanna. You understand? Rightfully so. Never been to court for like no criminal cases, but as somebody that has gone to court civilly, it does drain you. It is an energy drainer because you can be as prayed up as possible. You can be someone that you know is going to work out or whatever the case may be, but when you walk in a courtroom and you realize that, oh snap, this aspect of my life is in the hands of someone else, it just naturally creates nervousness, anxiety, and so on and so forth within you. That's probably why Rihanna started crying. You know, she a Pisces. You know, I'm a Sag. We got that Jupiter thing going. So it's like, oh, it's gonna work out. But then you start looking at your kids and being like, wait, maybe this nigga may not be coming home. What's really going on? So I could see it being like I said, like a point of contention for both of them. um so those were some things that like stood out to me, and I really think what worked in ASAP's favor from an astrological stance is that Jupiter return that he's currently in, and him getting ready to go through his nodal return in Pisces, which is nuts because Pisces deals with incarceration. It deals with crime to a certain extent. So, honey, I really hope ASAP Rocky. I don't know the full context of the case, but I just hope that you all glory goes to God, like your baby mama said. And yeah, I really just hope that you just thank your lucky stars. Now, Rihanna, on the other hand, is in the midst of her exact nodal return because as you can see on the screen, she has a later degree north node in Pisces. So her north node in Pisces is at the 24th degree. And she has that in the 12th house. Now, this is interesting too, because, and I've done Rihanna's chart and spoke about this before, because this can just speak to her tapping into the market with beauty and cosmetics for a group that was being overlooked, which was Black women. It also speaks to her tapping into that fashion market, right? Because it all goes under beauty. When she started doing lingerie and she pretty much blew Victoria's Secret out the water. So she is living in her purpose. Rihanna is a perfect example of what it looks like to have Virgo on the South Node and get away from that, how do I say it? Somewhat traditional sense, because Virgo deals with productivity, but stepping out on faith and aligning with something that really speaks to you, and then it just so happening to be something that really just catapults you out of here. So mama, you did that, okay? But she's a bit more tenured in this Pisces North Node energy, so shout out to her with that. But I found it interesting that she had that North Node in the 12th house. Like I said, Pisces 12th house, that can deal with jails, it could deal with incarceration and so on and so forth. And yeah, it's very interesting that she had that. Mercury at the 13th degree of Aquarius for her. That means that Pluto is conjunct. It's not too tight of a conjunction, but it's conjunct enough in that 11th house along with that sun. I'm going to be honest. She may have some more kids. I could see her having one more child. Um Especially with Pluto being conjunct that Mercury in that 11th house. I could definitely see her having some more kids, but also with that North Node conjuncting her sun and the sun dealing with children. That would be the real kicker to a certain extent, because with that Pisces North Node conjuncting her first degree Pisces sun, that can definitely produce another child. Another thing is there may be some secrets or something regarding her father that comes out and causes a media storm. Another thing that I picked up too, I know that they are going to begin to list the co-conspirators for Diddy. And I'm sure that's going to unravel some other names that may have been involved or witnessed or even been victimized. And I have a feeling that as Pluto enters into that 11th house and conjuncts that Mercury, this can be a time where people within her social circle start coming out and speaking about things about her, or where she is forced to speak on people that she is in network with. It also could just speak to a complete gutting of what she knows to be her social circle, her network, so that new people can come in. Okay. So that is that on that. And then she got the South Node sitting in her sixth house right now, which deals with her daily routine and whatnot. And she got that North Node sitting between that 12th house, right? So yeah. Um, and even with that South Node being in the sixth house, that can speak to an upheaval of sorts or changes taking place with her status quo that she has become, comfortable with. So I find that to be very interesting. And even like with her having a Mars at the 28th degree, and then Jay-Z being a Sagittarius sun, and he's a second deacon, I want to say Sagittarius sun, they definitely bumped heads. They definitely got some energy or had some energy between them. It could have been sexual because Mars can deal with sexual tension, but it also could have been some type of conflicting energy. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it for them. Once again, congratulations to ASAP Rocky, and bless the Pisces North Node and do better. All right. The next person, Jhene, my Pisces boo. She is such a Pisces stellium. Let me show y'all. Let me show you. Okay. But I might have to drop this picture. Okay. So she's a Pisces sun, moon, and Mercury. She also is a Pisces North Node. She's in the midst of going through her exact nodal return with a Sagittarius ascendant. And she has that Pisces stellium in her third house, between her third and her fourth house, which makes sense. Pisces in the third house, especially with her moon being there, she has a late degree. Actually, that's her first degree Mercury. And then her north node, singing. Not only singing, but communicating messages by way of those Pisces themes that are healing, that are holistic, that are therapeutic, because Pisces deals with therapy as well. That's why, and I heard, doesn't she use sound bowls and all types of stuff? Like, I know she's a very spiritual person, but I feel like her last project she put out, she was purposely, or not purposely, but intentionally integrating sound bowls and so on and so forth. So shout outs to her. Now, when I was looking at her chart and I seen that she has her moon at the 16th degree of Pisces, which is conjunct that north node in Pisces, then she has that sun at the 26th degree of Pisces. Where do I want to start with this? Let's start with the sun at the 26th degree of Pisces. When that north node was entering Pisces and leaving Aries, it was in her fourth house of home and comfort. Okay. Then you have the third house, which is your immediate surroundings. This is like your neighborhood and all of that. Pisces deals with loss. It deals with devastating endings. It deals with devastation, period, and suffering on its lower vibrating octave. Aries deals with fires. So when I seen this, and it was such a touchy subject, and I'm sure it still is. But when I seen this, I was like, "Yup, there it is. It's right there in her chart. It's right there in her chart." And it's crazy because her chart looks similar to mine. I'm a 22 degree Sagittarius rising, so it's a little off. But I have Aries in my fourth house. I have Pisces in my third house. And with that north node, her north node naturally being conjunct that moon. And once again, Pisces deals with endings. It deals with loss. It deals with suffering. It deals with death. There you go. That's what kicked it off. That's what kicked it off. And interestingly enough, it's creating a direct opposition to that ninth house, which is the natural home and environment for Sagittarius, which deals with what? Faith, belief, a higher power, a higher dimension, detaching from man-made concepts that it's easy for us to get attached to because we're still having this physical experience, but a reminder that you're a spiritual being first. Nothing is yours, no one is yours. Everything is temporary and nothing belongs to you. And it doesn't mean that knowing that you're not going to feel pain. It doesn't mean that knowing that it's going to make it hurt any less. But that wisdom can help you navigate with purpose and intention so that you could get a better understanding or, see the bigger picture of why you're going through what you're going through. So I found that to be interesting when I was looking at her chart. And then she has that south node sitting right on her midhaven. So there's a purification process going on with Jhene Aiko where it's like the way that she's presenting in the public, it's going through a spiritual rebrand, so to speak. And what's kicking that off, that south node being conjunct, that midhaven, is that north node cusping on that third house, which deals with her mind, how she communicates, her perspectives, and that fourth house, which is her subconscious, her comfort, the familiarity of it all, the origins of her lineage. That plays a big part into how she puts the world into perspective. And then you going through your nodal return. So she's probably about what, 35, 36, 37. So yeah. And it sucks, right? Like, who the fuck want to lose their house? You understand? But for her path, this is where spirit is taking her. So I wish her well. I wonder, I have a feeling, I have a feeling that maybe the top of next year or late in the second half of this year, she may put out a musical project. She may put it out as we're heading into that Aquarius North Node, and she'll clear a bag too, because that North Node's gonna head right into that second house. So right now may be a time that while she's recovering, she's writing, she's creating, and then next year or late this year, she's gonna begin to start roll it out, and she will clear a bag. She definitely will clear a bag. So good luck to her. Like I said, my thoughts are still with everyone. I still can't believe that shit happened. That shit really bothered me. It really did, but history repeats itself. History definitely repeats itself. And we serve a graceful God, but sometimes when people are showing us grace, that doesn't mean that we're not going to keep having certain experiences. It's just we're getting grace so that we can learn how to better navigate these experiences when they happen. Okay. All right. So the next person, Alexa Sky. Now, listen, I am somebody, okay, because a lot of y'all said these girls be full of shit. The only person that's been really not being weird about their newfound spirituality and path is Angela White, aka Black China. You understand? Like, she's the only one, in my opinion, that really hasn't been um super weird about the way in which she has gone about, just her purification process, her being reborn, finding God and so on and so forth. Like, some of y'all, and I get it, it's called having a spiritual ego. That's all. It's called having a spiritual ego. And I've been there to a certain extent. Um, But yeah, she basically got on the Dear Wifey podcast, and somebody said the minute you end up on the Dear Wifey podcast, you know that you down bad. Stop it. Stop it right now. It's not nice. But she got on the Dear Wifey podcast and pretty much admitted that her claiming to be Christian and all of that was because some man she was dating had promised to take care of her if she would denounce all that whole shit she was doing. Listen, child. Now, I will say this. I still think the fact that she was even willing to do it, that shows that God is in her heart somewhere. So maybe her intentions may have been skewed at first, but that doesn't mean that she can't continue her walk, but just for her own reason or the reason that God intends for her. Now, she has a Virgo moon. Okay. And that South Node is sitting on that moon. So I do find it interesting that as the South Node closely conjuncts her moon, she is now coming out and revealing these things to us because the moon is our most vulnerable and authentic expression. It's who we truly are when people are not looking. And of course, if you evolve and get comfortable enough, hell, it could be who the hell you are, even when people are looking. But the moon is subconscious, it's associated with the fourth house, private life, subconscious, comfort, and it takes time for people to open up and show that part of themselves. My groceries got dropped off, so I did pause this. But yeah, like I was saying, her intentions may not have been 100% pure and God centered, but sometimes even when you start off being disingenuous, that's just enough for God to take a hold of the steering wheel and begin aligning and ordering your steps. And the reason why I say this is because she's a 21-degree Cancer sun, and Jupiter will be entering Cancer in May, if I'm not mistaken, no later than June. And it's going to immediately conjunct her Mercury, but over time it's also going to conjunct her sun. And with Jupiter dealing with spirituality, religion, a higher consciousness, a higher awareness, educating yourself in those areas of just different belief systems and whatnot. I believe that even if she has jump shift, or she's just being honest about what initiated this journey for her, it will revisit her, because there's nothing wrong with deciding to be a bit more intentional about how you're showing up in the universe and how you're living your life. And it's a beautiful thing when that intention is a byproduct of you learning or being intrigued with the process of integrating different tools and ways of being and thinking that will just allow for you to be more wholesome with yourself. You understand, and really peel back those layers and get to see yourself and know yourself beyond what society says. Um, with the South Node being on that moon in Virgo, this can also be a time where she may feel a bit more open to share things, to clear up things about her. People that have Virgo moons, they can be very susceptible to like perfectionism. They could be very susceptible um to, you know, mental illnesses and possible personality disorders, just being hypercritical of themselves and even having like a low self-esteem. And then I see she has a Saturn at the 12th degree of Pisces, so she's in the midst of her Saturn return too. That's another thing. She's already had her exact Saturn return, but that energy, especially with the North Node conjuncting it sooner than later, she definitely is just in a process of figuring out how she wants to show up in the world moving forward. And I wish her the best of luck. I wish her the best of luck, honey. Life is rough. Life is rough, and we all do what we need to do to make it to the, you know, next level. And after a while, there does come a point where spirit is going to test you to be more intentional. Last but not least, Towanda Braxton. Girl, I do not like Towanda. Towanda is a Virgo sun at the 25th degree with a Gemini moon at the 12th degree. I really don't trust her. The South Node is conjunct that sun right now. Jupiter may not be conjunct her moon anymore. Apparently, she was in a car accident or got hit by a car, allegedly. Um, I do think her and one of her siblings, and I have a feeling it's going to be Tamar, they're going to duke it out. I do believe that they are going up. I lied. Jupiter is at the 11th degree. It's making a tight conjunction to her moon. My bad. I forgot Jupiter retrograded on us. It's out of retrograde now. So Jupiter is conjunct that moon, which can deal with family secrets being exposed, specifically with her siblings and shit that she's done to her siblings. Then you have the South Node making a very tight conjunction to that sun. The South Node is at the 27th degree. Saturn is opposing her sun, with Saturn being at the 19th degree. Neptune is opposing that sun, which is nuts, because with Neptune opposing the sun while the South Node is conjuncted, that definitely can deal with her dying or like a death of some sort or even an accident, because Pisces can deal with accidents as well. And then when you bring in that Mercury energy, which is associated with short-term distance, that's the car accident right there. I want to see her full chart. Huh. Mm, I'm trying to see her chart. Her moon is in Gemini. Her Venus. Her Venus is in Virgo at the 6th degree. Her Jupiter is in Aquarius at the 27th degree. Huh. Sun in Virgo. Mars is at the 16th degree of, no, the 9th degree of Taurus. I don't want to drag her too tough. I really don't care for Towanda. I'm gonna just leave it right here. 35 minutes is enough. If y'all want to book a session with me, my booking site will be pinned in the comments as well as the description box. You can send me an email or book straight through my site. For those of you that have booked with me, I know I have 2 readings to do. I have a 4-month report to do, transit report, and then I have an email reading. But all my other stuff I caught up on. So okay, I know I've been saying I was gonna come and do this video. So I hope y'all enjoyed this. This will drop Thursday morning. It's Wednesday evening as I record this. It's 5:55 on the clock too. Angel number, make a wish. So this will drop Thursday morning. Friday, I will do a hot topics video on Patreon. I will also try to integrate those topic suggestions. Oh my God, let me do Donyale Luna. Aisha Cook has been asking me to do Donyale Luna's birth chart, and I think she has Pisces energy. We are not done yet, y'all. I have to include that in this video because one of my day one lovely, she's been begging me to pull this woman's chart up. And I feel like I did it before. I feel like I did it before. Speaking of Detroit, this who 50 Cent need to be doing a show about. She should have a show or something. Okay, so some people think she may be a Gemini moon, and some people think she's a Pisces moon. I think she's a Pisces moon. Because she always used to say that she was from the moon. That's where the Donyale Luna came from. Let me look at her pictures. Y'all gonna make me watch her documentary tonight on HBO Max. She could be a Gemini moon, though. Huh. She is so pretty. Let me share my screen. Her documentary made me cry. It was so beautiful, though. She's like this is a ethereal. How do you say that? Y'all know sometimes I fuck up my words. The eyes. I really think it would make sense for her to be a 3rd degree Pisces moon. No, that's not even Pisces. That's Cancer. Actually, that's not even Pisces energy. That's Cancer energy. Now that I'm looking at it again. So it's saying she's a Gemini moon or a Cancer moon. Then she's definitely a Gemini moon. She's a Virgo sun. She may be a Pisces rising because she definitely has some Neptunian energy. Geminis do be having, like, I noticed that with the women, they do be having those eyes to a certain extent, but something about her gives Pisces coded. But it could just be the fact that she's a Virgo sun, and Virgo is on that spectrum. with Pisces. And they need to stop trying to compare Zendaya to her. That pisses me off. Quiet as is kept, Erykah Badu looks more like her, and I think that's where I get that Pisces energy in my head. Because Erykah, she gives me Erykah Badu energy. That's what she really gives me, Erykah Badu energy. I remember Laura Roach was like, Zendaya kind of reminds me of Donyale Luna because when she walks in the room, girl, bye. Yeah, y'all stop it. No, I don't see it at all. You look at this shit. See, I was just talking about this shit. No, I don't see it, and I don't have an issue with Zendaya, but the way that people enable the erasure of Black women, it really blows my mind. It really does. There's nothing about Zendaya, in my opinion. What? Because they're both Virgos? Give me a fucking break. Like, it's nothing about Zendaya that gives. I don't see it. I really don't see it. Zendaya is a striking beauty. She's a tall, slender girl, and she's great for high fashion and editorial fashion. Like, cool. But I don't get Donyale Luna from her. No, I don't. I don't get a heavy spiritual, otherworldly, ethereal energy from Zendaya. I do not. Like, I do not. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to yell at y'all through this mic, but that really bothers me. Like, stop it. Stop trying to make fetch happen. Y'all stay wanting to recreate authenticity and originality. Just let her be. Just let her be. Why? Because they both tall and skinny? It's just ridiculous. That just, and it's nothing against Zendaya, but it's like, give me a fucking break. Please. She's very tall. She could have been a late degree Aquarius rising. I think that's her big three. I think she's a Virgo sun, Gemini moon. I think she's a Virgo sun, Gemini moon. Her moon probably squared her sun to a certain extent. Her being a Gemini moon could deal with her having that split way of identifying herself because her name is not Donyale Luna. That bitch said, fuck this 3D programming. I am from the moon. I'm changing my name and stop calling me Black. Because I don't think she has self-hate issues. I really just think she was someone that was just like, I'm not going to be forced to, identify the way that y'all think I should identify. You understand? And that's where I say her and Erykah Badu have similar energy to me. That's why I kind of pick up Pisces energy around her, but she could be a late degree Aquarius rising. I think that makes the most sense when it comes to her chart. I would not be surprised if she's like a late degree Aquarius rising, very early degree Pisces rising, because Aquarius risings, they tend to be very like tall and just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, lanky, is that the word I'm looking for? Like, they tend to be very tall. So yeah, okay, let's look at her chart. So Donyale Luna, as we can see here on the screen, I'm gonna just keep her pictures up real quick while I do this. Was born on August 31st, 1945. Okay. She died May 17th, 1979. Okay. I do want to see if there's another. I really feel like I did her chart before. Maybe I just didn't post it. I want to know why my internet is going so fucking slow too. Like, that's starting to get on my nerves. I'm paying all this money. My internet should be moving at light bulb speed. Mm. Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so this one says she's a Gemini moon as well. I'm just looking. Her Mars is in Gemini. Her North Node is in Cancer. South Node in Capricorn. Her Saturn is in Cancer. That makes sense because she had some issues. I think she witnessed her mother shoot her father or something like that. The documentary is on HBO Max, but I feel like she comes from Detroit, and I feel like one day, like her mom and dad were getting into it, and her mom shot her father. And that really bothered her. I don't know if she was there for it or she had left home by that time, because she got discovered when she was 17 and she just packed up and went to New York City. And I don't think she ever really looked back. So that could have happened before she left or after the fact. She has her Venus in Leo, her Pluto in Leo, and her Mercury in Leo. So this, and her Mercury's at the 22nd degree, which is interesting because the 22nd degree is a Capricorn degree. And this can speak to the fact that she knew she was destined for stardom. She knew she was destined for fame of some sort, but because she was met with a lot of delays and roadblocks, it could have discouraged her. And she talked about that in her documentary. She thought that when she came um over to the States, that things would just kind of pick up and, take off from her. But a lot of people didn't understand her. That's why a lot of people, similar to Tina Turner going over to the UK, what's her name, Donna Summers too, a lot of black women that chose what was considered to be like an alternative way of showing up that wasn't within the status quo of what was expected of black Americans and women that come from black American culture. They had to go overseas. They had to go overseas and blow up over there to be appreciated to a certain extent in the United States. And it's interesting because even though Tina Turner is beloved, you still have a lot of people that will dig up those interviews and be like, she didn't even like black Americans, this, that, and the third. And I'm gonna say this as someone that does not always relate to black American culture. I can't speak for those women, but you can't constantly ostracize, reject, and overlook someone, and then when they go and find their people and they're speaking of their experience, now you want to be offended. Like, that's something that it really irritates me about human nature, but specifically in the black community. Like, the things that allow for you to have social currency in the black community, if you don't choose to take that path, then all of a sudden you the bad guy, you hate yourself. But if I was still waiting to be recognized and noticed and embraced by y'all, there wouldn't even be a conversation to me right now. So, case in point, if you have to choose between disappointing yourself or others, always choose others, because you can't be waiting around waiting for somebody to see you. Like, you really can't. You cannot be waiting around waiting for somebody to see you. You have a life to live, you have a soul mission to fulfill, and that's what those women did. So, um, her Mercury at the 22nd degree of Leo, it could just speak to how she got fixated on wanting to be seen and wanting to have fame. But at the same time, it also could have been a deficit to how she viewed herself, especially with her being like a Virgo sun and a Gemini moon. That's Mercury energy. She spent a lot of time in her head, a lot of time in her head. But it also could speak to how something traumatic happened in her childhood and she kind of got fixated there too, like maybe creating another character of yourself to protect yourself, which kind of it can go hand in hand with a sense of disassociation. But that's also what narcissistic people do too, to a certain extent. Not saying that she was, but you have narcissistic people where it's like, I have to create this alter ego. I have to create this extension of how people are experiencing me so that I can control the experience. So, yeah. Hold on, my groceries is down. I just gotta pause this real quick. Hold on, y'all. I am back. Okay, where was I? Um, hmm, and she has her Jupiter at the first degree of Libra, as well as her Neptune, which is interesting because with that Jupiter conjunct Neptune, that tight conjunction in Libra, this deals with her pioneering to a certain extent a new beauty standard, or just having a beauty standard that people knew was not of this world. Um because that was the main thing with her. People would be like, "Girl, where are you from? You ain't no average Negro, are you?" That's what they used to call us back then. I'm just repeating what they would say. But and then her Venus was in Leo. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I can do an updated chart when I get a better chart at first, because there's really not a lot of information out there. Like even the picture they have up, she was born in 1945, so there isn't a lot of information out there. But yeah. And she was 6'2". That's crazy. She was 6'2". I really think she could have been an Aquarius rising. I really do, but I'll wait to hear y'all opinions. Okay, I am done for good this time. I just wanted to do that real quick because, like I said, one of my lovelies, she's been asking me to do that chart. I felt like I did it. I don't know what happened to it or where it went, but thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to book a 5-question reading with me, that's $45.55. If you want more of a, written report, like a natal chart or a transit chart, information for pricing, you can send me an email. My email is pinned in the comments as well as the description box, or just book directly through my site. Have a great day and thank you so much for supporting. Bye.